How the web works in rhyme, eventually. Hello again. It came as a surprise to me. Red Nose Day back so suddenly. It's every year now, I've discovered, which gives me less time to recover. I'll need longer after this one, but never mind, I'm in good cheer. Thanks to you all for being here. Thanks so much. Thanks to those who made this work. From tricky tasks they never shirk, starting with the .NET folks who once or twice laughed at my jokes. And with special thanks to Peter Vickers, whose name is still quite hard to rhyme with. I'm going to work on that for next time. We'll see. Please give money, lots of it, and then this talk will be legit. Part with cash and then relax, especially if you're paying tax. A good way to support this ode is to open up the QR code. There it is, or you can go through the stream site, whatever. Just give us money. It's what makes the world go round, allegedly. Why we are here for fun. This is true. But I want to show some things to you. This stuff is powerful and free to use. You can get involved and hardly lose. The bad news we will get to later. Sad face. But your knowing it will make you greater. I've made a website because I care. You can access it from anywhere. The website is special too. In fact, I made it just for you and of course everyone else. You can follow demos on the net. It's an address you can't forget. www.rhyme22.com. I'm going to add some more stuff after the lecture, which is going to have links to all the resources you need, the sample code, and all the good stuff, because I think everyone should have a go at this because it's really, really good. So, silly joke. My starting point's the silly. I did promise a silly joke. Here it is. That you can show to any folk. It's on our demo site, you see, and you can find it very easily. And so what I'd like you to do for me is to go to www.rhyme22.com/PC. That stands for Procrastination Challenge. If you've done it before, you know what the joke is, so you can just move on by and watch it if you haven't. And if you really want to see it done, hang on, why am I doing that? Go back here. It's Nerves of Steel live demo time, okay? And what I'm going to show you is Procrastination Challenge, which is on the web somewhere behind all the other slides. So if I load this up, this is Procrastination Challenge. And basically, if you press the start button, it says game over. I thought it was quite funny. But there you go. If you wait for about 6.5 seconds or so, which is a hard time to fill if you're talking, it says you win. Nice. This is a stupid website, okay? But by the end of tonight, I want you to A, have something to point your friends at, and B, know enough about how the web works to understand what this site does, because that's kind of what we're here for. So that was the first Nerves of Steel live demo. My watch is going ping. That's good. There you go. The first cheese pun is in. 5 out of 10. Must try Erda. See, the thing about these things is you can't hear the laughter that I would normally get in a lecture theatre full of people. Okay, I'm not kidding anybody. So, sorry about that, a small diversion. Perhaps I should make a better version, although I'll have to think about it. Oh, the phone's ringing. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, I wonder who that could possibly be. I should have taken that phone. But anyway, moving on. What next we are going to show is how the game is made to go. Now, we have an obligatory code segment in these presentations because, well, you should all suffer like I do, basically. So I'm going to talk about code is king. I'm showing code and I'm not sad. I'm not here to make you feel bad. Apparently, well, your mileage might vary. I think the thing I think would be most tragic is if you thought this stuff was magic. I don't want people thinking that the net is beyond their understanding and the web stuff is only done by people with enormous foreheads and big brains, because fundamentally, this is really not true. It's not all easy, this is true, but I don't think it's something you can't do. And you can certainly have an understanding of how it's supposed to go. So we're going to look at secrets of the browser, which doesn't sound any better when you say it like that, turns out. It's really interesting. Yeah, I don't have puns for all of these because it was either that or anyway, moving on. So here we go. Sites for sore eyes. If you browse onto a popular site, hello, or even the one you see on the right, hello, your browser will make a request of the net, and then it will display the response it did get. The response comes as a text with a message to tell, the format of which is called HTML. What is HTML? HTML has been here quite a time, an acronym that's hard to rhyme with. Hypertext markup language is the full form of the name. It lets us manage all web pages of the same. So into the HTML of a page we can delve with a simple press of the key. This is astonishing. This is stuff which, if it doesn't change your life, then get a different life. No, don't do that. F12 is awesome. This asks the browser, please would you open up Developer View. Developer View has awesome powers to work with what you have just browsed. Good, that's rhyming. So now let's do a sample. These codes are all on rhyme22.com/sample1. You can go look yourself if you want to, or you can look at me doing it, which is kind of more relaxing and easier to hold a drink while doing. Let the good times run. Okay, moving on. So this is, visit this page, go on, I dare you. There's really nothing there to scare you. It's just a simple, heartfelt plea for you to give some cash to me or lease the Red Nose Day appeal. Okay, so it's just you've seen this kind of thing before, but it's usually better laid out than you can see in front of you. So what we do is we press F12. Press F12 and see what occurs. Although it might not look the same on the machine that is yours, this is Edge running on Windows 10. If you do this on Chrome running on whatever Chrome runs on, or the Chromium on Pi, or Edge running on the Mac, it will look a bit different. But you'll get something a bit like this. Developer View proudly presents a whole button of tabs, which includes elements, which you can see here. It's the elements one, it's all lit up. If you've got no F12, well, that's okay. Just open the window with Control-Shift-J. Oh, it rhymes. Works on PCs, Edge on Mac and Linux. Yay! So that's what you do. And if you do that, you get the same display. And this is showing you the guts of your web page, the engine room, the bit that does the stuff. And that in the middle there is, as it says at the top, doc type HTML. This is the document that came down from the server when you hit that website. And Elements tab shows a foldable view. You can open the little arrows and it just, of the HTML text being rendered for you. Of the folds, you can take your pick by moving the mouse and giving it. You can open these things up and it shows you what's inside. And this is the text that comes up on your screen when you hit a website. The M in HTML, it stands for markup. It hints to the browser just how the page should look. Markup does not say what should appear. It just says things like make things stand out here. Now, we add markup to pages using special commands to set out precisely what our display type demands. So okay, keep going this. Sample, markup, not markdown. Yeah, the markdown is something else actually, which is also quite interesting, but we'll be there. Sample to element, emmentale, my dear Watson. There's so many different kinds of cheese now. It's wonderful. Okay, so this is another slightly more interesting demand. For cash for a good cause, we all understand. If the HTML underneath we wish to see, we just press our favorite key or Control-Shift-J. Either way works, and boom! The elements view is all that's required to see how we ask for the format desired. The characters less than and greater than play the parts of telling the browser where the elements start and end. So all these words here like strong and small and del and whatnot, they're all things that HTML understands. Here we go. An element can be a freestanding command. The BR is one. A new line demand. Oh, good. In an element, you can a whole block stash. The name at the end always starts with a slash. So we have a heading, which is H1. We have M for money. We have a head, which is empty. We have a body, which is quite big. And I can't scroll it because it's a picture. But you keep going. Blocks can be netted as if you don't know. The element body is where the page text should go. Is that a message saying, give up your dude? Maybe. Someone should sponsor me for 20 quid. I don't know who you are, but I think you're wonderful. Anyone else want to do it? It's great. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's all kicking off. Wonderful. Right. So, we're just done. Okay. The Elements tab shows this nicely presented by showing the contents of blocks all indented. This is what your code looks like. Okay. Showing style. Now you know markup, how clever you are. In no time, I'll tell you your web design style. It's basically the fundamental things are in there. Just learn more of it. The final appearance, says presenter Miles, can be made even better by adding some styles. The style is a powerful formatting aid to express the choices the designer has made. Okay, so putting on some style, sample 3. Are you with me? Good. Clear, serene, whatever will be, will be. Yeah, they're not all as good as that one. And these are real cheeses, even though the second time they are spelt differently. That's amazing, isn't it? How do I do that?
I'm sorry.
Oh, not you. We're all sorry. Okay, so this page has some style, though really not much. For cache demands having a colorful touch. Red text is okay for a bit of impact, but a yellow background shows a little less tact. Not keen on red on yellow. The element P is the way that you state, can you put the enclosed in a paragraph, mate? Elements have attributes, one of them style. We can add lots of style settings that read it to rile, and red text on yellow is good. Red text on magenta, though, that's the killer. I'm going to really print red words on a magenta background. Oh, perfect. Anywho, back to the plot. That is the next thing that we need to know. So effectively, what you can do is you can put these things onto your. Yeah, we didn't do it. Class is the next thing that we need to know. It's sensible signs the way where you want to go. It lets us group styles and apply them as one and create a role called the designer person. We can define layout classes in a place called style sheet. We can use them in a way that's really quite neat. Now, what's going to happen now is you can make something a horrible color, but you have to do that horrible color specifically for everything in your page. So if you want things to be not very nice, you just have to pick the not very nice colors and apply them by hand. Classes make this easier. Watch carefully. The things on the page look exactly the same. So look at my sample, then it's saying that's red and that's green on yellow. So red on yellow, green, red on yellow, and so on and so on. So it's all clicking off together quite nicely. But what I've done now is just we've improved our laying out game. We have, and something else new just has to be said. The document suddenly sprouted ahead. There's a piece of your document called the head, which is the bit at the top. That makes sense. And in there you can put stuff. And the head element's the place we can put tiles and styles and other whatnot. We've just got some styles. In fact, there are 2. Both should have, pardon me, names that make sense to you. We have a style called red text and a style called ugly text. Pop quiz. Put the answer in the comments and I'll let Pete judge. One of those style names is silly, is wrong. It goes against the way styles work. So red text or ugly text, one of those is a bad name. If you can say which it is, you will win nothing. But we'll announce our winner later, or Pete will. Moving on. Now we have classes containing style settings, red text and ugly text. We can use them in text for the styles to be getting. The great thing about it, I think you will find, is it makes it dead easy to change the design. So now, rather than saying, I want you to be red and you to be red and yellow, I can just say, make this person red and make this one ugly. And so if I decide that I want to go full ugly and do red on magenta, or insane ugly, which is red on red, which can be done, then you can just change it in the style and it gets picked up everywhere else and bang, everything else looks different. Wonderful stuff. That's how you should do it. So now you know just how a web page is made, and you can start up with your web design trade. You can have pictures and sounds any way that you think. Jump from web page to web page by adding a link. We haven't the space to explore all these powers. Well, this presentation will go on for hours. And to be quite honest, nobody wants that. Think of the children. Moving on. Say hi to Dom. Changing page content from software is a bit of a doddle. You can do it by using the document object model, or DOM. This holds all your elements structurally in a thing that looks a bit like a tree. We've reached a point in this fabulous ode where we're going to make up a web page up from code. Now, The web pages you've seen up to now have just been text that someone's written and stuck in a file, and the server pushes it out. What we want to do now is see if we can run a program inside our browser to make pages for us. And there's all kinds of good reasons for doing that, of which more in a moment. Sample, text from code. Here you go, sample 5. This page is empty. What's going on? Could it be a demo of mine that's gone wrong? This never happens except sometimes. Yeah, actually, no, what a thing to suggest. It's empty, so adding some text we can test. It's an empty page, which is fine. This is the view from the elements we get with an empty paragraph with the ID of target. Now, you can give things in your document names. So I've thought I'm going to call this paragraph target because it's the target. And it's empty at the moment because there's nothing in there. You can see there's nothing in there at all. Nothing on my sleeves. Oh, there's an arm. Yes. And the idea is something that we must invent. So we locate the paragraph and some text present. So we've given it a name. It could be Trevor, although I'm not quite sure why it would be Trevor, but it could be Trevor. That's the target. Now we've got that. To the console we go to find the target and some new text to show. The console tab gives us power without limit. Why am I doing that on my hands? Because we can type lines of JavaScript in it. JavaScript is a language for programming with. It lets us the browser some instructions give. We'll type JavaScript into the console for now, then to put code into the HTML, I'll show how. That's later. You can see the tabs on the top. If I press the console one, this pops up. Oh, and by the way, some people are very rude about JavaScript. They say it's a horrible language. I hate writing languages which I don't agree with or offend me. That's rubbish. Don't go down that road. A language is a tool. It's like hating your electric drill. What's the point? And why hate anyway? JavaScript is wonderful for doing JavaScript things. And it's a very nice language for that. And if someone goes, you shouldn't write JavaScript, this isn't a very good language, just point to the house you bought with it and the new car you've just got, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just a great tool for doing stuff and earning money doing stuff. And it's got some lovely touches and some horrible touches, but then again, so have most languages. So you just move on. Life is too short. This is the console tab. Isn't it the most? A command line input for the browser to host. We can type JavaScript code that we want to have run, then look at the page to see what it has done. Ooh, this is rhyming. This is good, isn't it? So I've just typed something in, which is this piece of, here we go. The statement creates a reference called target element. So the target paragraph, we want our message sent. The console shows where the results of that statement that has run. So yeah, you do something, the thing gets done, and then the console shows you what it made. And in this case, it's a nice way to show what a statement's just done. So I've typed in this stuff. I'm going to go through it in slow motion now. This is the string that contains the idea. We're looking for the target paragraph. We know that. We want to find him so we can hit him. Maybe not just do that. Anyway, that was quite painful. Well, the element to fetch from the document tree. So we're going to often get something. This is the method that gets an element for you. It's one of the things, documents can do lots of things. And one of them is find me the element called blah, in this case, target. And the document object contains everything. It's your whole page as a software object. All the elements are stored there within. And the final thing is the place to put the thing you're getting. The variable is what we have just got, the place where you can value slot. So this is going to go off and fetch the pointer and then stick it in a variable called target element. And variables are just boxes with names on that you can make and put things in, which is what you would do with a box with a name on. The name I've used will represent the location of the target element. So we've now got a pointer at the thing we want to change. Let's change it. So here I say, follow my element and stick hello world in the text inside that. And if you look at the page, hello world has appeared. Now we have our target. We can commands it tell. This sets the inner HTML. An element on the page has a piece of stuff that it holds. The text is going to display whatever it needs to do. That's the setting called edit, and that's what you do. You boom, hit that. This is the text the paragraph shows. So onto the web page, the text goes. So when you run that statement, that text appears like magic. So the document, it's not printed. It's not a file you've loaded, which can't be changed. It's a living, changing thing. which you can then run programs inside your browser to do stuff with. That's the text to display. It can be any HTML, what the paragraph to say. That's the property of the target, inner HTML, which is the thing the statement will set. Property has lots of things to hit, depending on what you want to do with it. Exactly. This is the object in our document to which we want the message sent. Boom. Target element was set to refer to our paragraph text. So it's going to change the paragraph to contain hello world. And that's what it does. This typing code, so you can run programs in your browser which change the document that you see. This is how an Amazon website builds itself. You don't get the whole thing down from Amazon. You get enough code to go and fetch the bits it needs. I think you'll understand, but we really want a different mode. So the code is run when the page does. We don't want to have to type it in, but the console is great fun, but it's not how you make things. It's how you look at what's been made. We can do this and lots more beside by adding functions on inside. So we're going to do some stuff now running code inside our web page. Function fun, number 6. There's not many more of these, about another 53, so it's all good. Say hello to my little friend. I like that. Anyway, moving on. So this is tab 6. We're using the sources tab to look at the HTML. So I'm showing you the actual text that's been typed in to make this page work, the thing that came down from the browser. This shows the raw file that the server does tell. This page has JavaScript which runs when it loads. It does, it has. This is how programs are built by code. It is, they do. So effectively what we have here is the sources tab and the file. And this one will show you all the files in your thing. We're using the source tab, look at the HTML. This shows the raw file that the server does tell. The page has JavaScript that runs when it loads. This is how pages are built by code. This is how we make code actually do things. So let's have a look at what the code does. Looking at code is fun. In the original text, the target holds nout. The target paragraph is empty. But if you look at the page, hello world shines out. The text is added by JavaScript code that runs when the page it does load. So when the page loads, a chunk of JavaScript gets control. A function is a block of code and a name by which the function is node. Love it. This one is called do show text. There it is. A name picked to what it does reflect. Oh, good. A final part of our function fun is working out how the code can run. To an event we can bind our code. We are using the event onLoad. So events are just stuff that happens. And one of the things that happens in the lifetime of a page is it gets loaded. No, not in that way, just put into the machine. And in that situation, what happens is that we can bind a piece of code to that, which will do some code that looks remarkably familiar. So when HTML the browser receives, code can run to control what the viewer sees. This is the basis of lots of websites. Code builds the pages and turns on the lights. It means that the document is constantly changing as the code to display on is rearranging. Yeah, that's called drunk poetry. It's a special, I've invented that just now. So we can make a document change itself by running code inside that does things. The last thing that we need to know is where does the user input go? Users want to interact, have pages to their inputs react. Let's start with just a lowly button and find out how on a web page to put one. So number 7, button pressing. Keep moving forward. It's all out there for you to play with later. So this page is something extra to put on. I'm using put on and button again. It's an element. It's okay because it's art. It's fine. It's art. Okay. No need for perfection. Just artistry. Fine. So a button can be clicked on the screen. So you can see the button actually on the page. It's there. I don't know whether you can see my cursor moving around, but if you can, it's there. But if you can't, it's there anyway. It's like every button you've ever seen. It says show message. A button can have text inside to help the user, the web page drive. You can also have an on-click part. This is the magic. So the button can a function start. When the button is clicked, a piece of JavaScript will run, which is wonderful, isn't it? So when the button is clicked, that thing runs and it finds the text display and slaps "Hello World" in it. That was a bit more shouty than I was expecting, but keeping going forward is all good. When the button is pressed, the function code starts. and the message it then imparts. So when the button is pressed, that code runs and it puts hello world onto the target. And yeah, okay, silly pages. Now we know all the JavaScript bits to showcase all our humorous bits. Oh, I'm rhyming bits with bits. It's art, it's okay, it's all good. We can use debug mode if we so choose to see just what our program does. That's art as well. In fact, let's look at our joke just for fun. And perhaps we can make another one. Yeah, 2 jokes, that's yeah, double the number of jokes. So if I go back to my challenge, which is this page here. Oh, Rob Myers is fundraising. Oh, that's good. If I do reload it, if I press the magic F12 button, boop, we get all the stuff. And it's actually, here's one I prepared earlier. I'll clear that breakpoint, I'll reload the page and do it all again. So hit boop. So what happened? This is the code, and bits of it will be familiar. This var thing looks a bit new. That's how you make a variable formally. But the way the game works, if you leave it 6.5 seconds, it goes to that. If you look in here, you can see where the 6 seconds comes from. It's 6 times 1,000. This thing, the timeout works in milliseconds. So 6 times 1,000 is 6 seconds. So here's what happens, really. When you start the thing, it puts the thing together, builds the page, makes a few bits and pieces, and then it calls do start game. And what that does is set the start date and the timer, and away we go. Now, what I can show you, because it's quite fun, is if I put a breakpoint there and then reload the page. I've already seen this, but it's fun the second time as well. If I hit start, then boom, my program goes to that line there, and I can now actually step through the code and watch each statement go. And this is beautiful. Boop, 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 boop. And and then when I did that hidden, you see the button disappear. When you press the button, you don't want it pressed again, you want it to vanish. So what you do is you make it hidden, you see, and it goes boom and vanishes. And you saw that, I know you did. But the amazing thing about this is that what have I done to get to this fantastic place to work? And the answer is I pressed F12. That's all I did. So any browser you like, as long as it's Edge or Chrome, you can do this without anything else. So you can see how the code works, put it to pieces, play with it. And I think that's awesome. And if you look at, here's another trick. I've got a PC has a twin brother called, what is he called? Procrastination or hesitation challenge. And this guy, welcome to the game. Oh, try it again. If I press a win if you're quick on this one. And if you take a look at the code works in almost exactly the same way, except that now, if you press the button, you win. But if you let it run for too long, you lose. And now it's 1.5 seconds rather than 6. So this is, you can learn stuff just by using the browser and pressing S12. It's awesome source. So yeah, we've got BC. I'm going to make another one actually called Disassociative Challenge, which will be quite fun, but we'll come to that a little bit later. So yeah, there you go. There's a live demo, Nerves of Steel. You've seen that, and it was, and they were. And I'm hoping you're very impressed. So what have we learned? Web pages are text storytell. They're formatted in HTML. The browser reads this magic script and builds a document out of it. In a web page, JavaScript can lurk, which with the document can work. JavaScript can run when events take place to change the page in the reader's face. And that's fundamentally what we've been doing. Okay, so that's the end of the code segment. Thank you very much. Now things will go a lot faster now. Good news. I'm sorry that was quite so tough. From now on, I'm just showing stuff. We're going to learn what servers do and how JavaScript makes them work too. At the end, to adulation, I'll tell you what makes an application. Whoa. So the secrets of the server. That's the server. The server is the place that holds the HTML that will be told. These things live out there somewhere in the cloud and wherever. When a page the browser tries to get, and hopefully not link reset. Link reset's a nasty one. That means you haven't got it. Okay, so if you want to send out information, a static site's the right foundation. Just on the server, pages stack, then browsers can get the pages back. For a library, this would be pretty fair, as all could then the data share. So this is, here we go, If you need to serve a static page or two, GitHub could be all the rage. Yeah, rage rhymes with page, not two. It stores the files for static sites and all for free to your delight. This is the GitHub repository that contains the pages you've been looking at, okay? And they're there for free. So I can put that up there, and now people can see those and use them with their browser on their phones or whatever, and it all just works. To give a web page proper clout, you need a proper website address. Now, this is where Rhyme22 came from. It's scary just how cheap these are. I got mine for around a 5R. Rhyme22.com cost me £5.50, I think. And that was quite expensive. You can get them cheaper than that. But you bind this to your Red Nose Day repository and suddenly, bang, you have a proper website that will compare with the best. And it's also secure with SSL, which is wonderful. But why would you not make one? Every programmer should have their own website with their stuff on it. So when someone says, where's your CV? You say, it's at that domain, it's at that address, and I own it, and it's mine. I bought robmiles.com a long time ago, one of my best investments ever. So think about that and keep moving forwards. Secrets of the application. The server can be just one device. For files and apps, it will suffice. The difference is the code it runs when responding to the web questions. A file is simply copied out. If you're just pushing out files, fine, just do that. But for an app, code will HTML spout. An app will push out HTML, which is actually created by code. This, take a look at this code here. Go on, look at it. I said there'd be no more code. I lied. Deal with it. It's JavaScript, so never fear. It generates HTML text. In response to web requests, it gets. This is actually JavaScript, which makes a server, which responds on port 8080, and it writes a message, hellos from simple server, this thing here. This page, the code will tell. In this case, hardly HTML. You can just send straight text, and your browser will tend to try and display it. But it can be lots of documents. That could be our whole web page, and it will be hit, produced by that program when someone loads the page up. But it can be lots of, whatever code will be enough. Whatever you want, you can do. The server code will never shirk. It runs on the .NET, on the node.js framework. This is awesome source, wonderful stuff. And node.js is free to use. You can try it with nothing to lose. Yeah, you can put this, you can get a free copy, play with it, do what you like. You can host for free on many places. I love the Azure functions to pieces. Azure functions let you host node.js stuff, and it's just magical and free if your loadings are modest. This, I write my sites in Visual Studio Code. Oh yes, it's my favorite editor mode. When with Node.js I want to get dug in, I fire up the Azure plugin. This thing, you can basically take your working test version from your local PC and slap it in the cloud by just pressing a button and going, actually the finger snap is not required, but it will just work, and it's brilliant. The power you have from all this stuff makes building apps not very tough. Deploying is cheap, and with a domain, as proper sites, you'll look the same. People will think it's a proper site because it is. JavaScript skills can work both sides of the client server. You don't have to learn one language to write the server and one language to write the client. You can do both in JavaScript. There are lots of libraries to catch. You never have to start from scratch. Yeah, and there's lots of stuff that does heavy lifting for you as though by magic. It's really good. That's the happy ending. Sad ending. All this stuff I've shown to you can be used by naughty people too. Fake websites that look realistic can be set up in ways quite simplistic. Because you can press F12 and see what the site does, it's a dead doddle to nick all that stuff and put it somewhere else on your bad agent site. Nasty code inside the website can be used to make your world not right. So keep your defenses up out there to avoid the nasty kind of scare. Strange addresses, ones that aren't spelt right, ones that look wrong, ones that aren't HTTPS. Watch out for those, because it's the thing about power. The thing about this kind of tool is it's great for doing good stuff, and then you can build Facebook. Nobody won't hear that, will they? Anyway, moving on. So talk ending. Always leave them wanting more, my mother used to say. So this is where we reach the end of my talk for today. I hope you've learned some stuff. I hope you found it funny, but most of all, I really hope you've given us some money.